Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Resident Evil 4 with the fan-made HD texture mod. You know, the textures even in Resident Evil 6 were not HD, really, and so there is this level here where I suppose the similar fans that were upset with the bad textures, low-res textures being used in Resident Evil 4 could potentially make Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6 look a lot better too. Capcom just really didn't care. Obviously, like they just didn't evolve from the point of GameCube level textures at less than 720p into the idea of doing higher res textures. And perhaps some of that is straight up how some of the textures in this game were straight up stolen. I decided to watch someone else play this game and compare different ports just to make sure that the visuals really do look as good as as I think. And yeah, I think pretty much the truth of the matter is they do look great. Like, there's just no getting around it. It is just a better visual experience. This is uniquely, some of these weapons have been redrawn, so they also look very different. We're at the end of the game here, but we also have separate ways, and we want to at least look at the mercenaries, if not do all the mercenaries. And the game really, really wants to push me into doing a new game plus, although in all fairness, I don't think there's too much to really be seen or shown by doing a new game plus, because I've just played this game well enough that it would be a lot of goofing off. It would be using the blacktail gun and trying to upgrade that, and potentially trying like the Killer 7 or the Red 9 handgun. But those aren't really better guns once you've made the decision as to what you personally want or what you think other people want. There's a lot of things I also just haven't mentioned here that I recognized, like I've just totally missed. Like the El Gigantes, they will grab you, and then at times you have to slice them up with your knife. I never got grabbed by a single El Gigante in the entire run, so that cutscene we missed. Falling down the pit and getting stabbed, I obviously missed that because I just did the QuickTime event. There's no reason to break this glass. It's just, you can. There is a Netflix series that brings Leon back, and Leon also comes back at in Resident Evil 6 and basically looks like a completely different character, which is, in fairness, what he looks like in this game too, is that he was like a rookie STARS agent in Resident Evil 2, not Resident Evil 3. I've been saying Resident Evil 3, and since I haven't played either game, I don't really know. There's a trick where if Ashley was at the top and you had to catch her, where if you try to use the gun's rifle scope or something and look up her skirt, she'll actually call you out on it. In the house when you're fighting Lewis, if you shoot Lewis enough times, he will shoot you and you'll instant die. Just a heck of a lot of things like that. Most of them I knew, but a couple of them I didn't, certainly. So there's still new elements. And then watching the YouTube video about Resident Evil 4, then I ended up getting suggested a YouTube video about Resident Evil 6, and apparently there's a whole different movement mechanic in that that you can jump back on the ground and dash forward and do a whole bunch of stuff that the game never tells you about in Resident Evil 6. Still don't think I'd ever want to play Resident Evil 6 again, and I don't think the remakes need to particularly remake Resident Evil 6. They could easily take the best parts of RE6, which aren't that much, and add them to a remake that merges RE5 and 6 together. And frankly, they may be better off just changing the entire events of the story in the RE4 remake. Here's a Japanese Capcom company saying, the real power of the United States lies in three areas: the Justice Department, the administrative bodies, and the military. In order to take control of these areas, we must influence the minds of the people who advise the president. So they wanted to basically get Las Plagas into the heads of basically everybody in power in Washington through the president. Now, the problem with this is the Justice Department doesn't really have that much power, or at least not outwardly. It wouldn't be the three areas of control. Maybe that's how the Japanese government works, but it's definitely not how the United States government works. But maybe, who knows? This is a fictional America, so maybe it is different in this world. But like, what you would want is the judiciary, the Supreme Court members, and high-ranking state Supreme Courts members on top of the federal Supreme Court. That would influence the enforcement of laws and whether laws are considered constitutional and legal, which you really wouldn't enforce anything really as far as Las Plagas infection or control. That would be a very long-term plan. Then you would want a significant number of senators and congressmen in the, or state representatives, like the House of Representatives and the Senate combined make the Congress. You'd want control of both of those bodies to potentially bring laws, make new laws, and fund specific choices, like as far as making the budget. Again, having control with the Las Plagas doesn't, that's very long term if you're going to just try to secretly run the United States government. And then the president in the United States, he can veto laws, but then they could be overturned by a majority in Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, but that very rarely happens. Very rarely does the president even veto laws. He could pocket veto, which is another thing, but that's not worth even talking about. And the president is the commander-in-chief of the military, and that's where his real power would be. And the military would be a real power. It would make a lot more sense to say we were going to take over the control of the president and then have him stage a military coup in which Las Plagas takes over the entire United States. But I don't even know if that's the problem. That was really their goal. It's a obvious misunderstanding of just how the U.S. complicated governance system works. And it belies another thing I failed to realize, even multiple playthroughs into Resident Evil 4. The Las Plagas die in the light, always. That's why, at the beginning of the game, when you were headshotting the villagers, they were just dying, and the Las Plagas never came out of their heads. It's not because they had all been recently infected with eggs at the church, which maybe you can make an argument that's what happened, but it's not. It wouldn't make sense. They wouldn't be really attacking you in such uniformity before the church bell rang, and they wouldn't have run to the church at the bell ringing if they weren't already infected. What was happening was you were shooting them in daylight, and the daylight was killing the Las Plagas, which means you could never really take over the United States. You'd have to have a very complicated system of pushing a country into setting off nukes in like a volcano or 4 or 5 to create a forever nighttime situation. And then I guess if you could get enough soot and ash out of volcanoes by nuking them, which I'm not sure you could even set off in a volcano by nuking it, but let's just assume you could do that for cheesy game reason. Then it could be nighttime all the time. Then you could infect people with Las Plagas. Otherwise, you're just hoping that nobody discovers that people are getting infected with Las Plagas, and that the heads never get blown off, and during the daytime. Inherently, that also explains why we get so many flash grenades. It's not just for like stunning enemies like in other games, in Resident Evil 5 or anything. It's very specifically to break and kill the Las Plagas heads when they are out. Moving on with the story. After this is done, the rest of the departments will quickly fall under our sway. If by chance the United States were to figure out our plan, the damage should be minimal. We should be able to conquer the country by as planned, using our backup plan. Once we control the country, we'll use their international influence to our advantage. The rest of the world will fall swiftly. As already stated, our first plan doesn't go as smoothly as expected. We'll proceed with the secondary plan. We'll be spending our special forces. By sending in our special forces, we will infiltrate the country from within. Fear and chaos will spread throughout the nation like a virus. Special forces being Ashley, and just people on the island, I guess, in general. It'll only be a matter of time before the country loses its stability, and at that time, they're most vulnerable, we'll strike. Rejoice, my brethren, the world shall soon be cleansed. So just like a dumb plan. Something that would just never really happen or work. There would always be some hero that would save the day. Netflix made an awful Resident Evil TV series that really had nothing to do with Resident Evil, and half of the series is built around a future point at which the world has mostly fallen because of viruses and things like that. And it doesn't really change that much. It's just then there are new countries that arise, and there's a bunch of zombies and BOWs, a lot of BOWs.
Welcome.
Netflix has 2, if not 3, terrible Resident Evil originals on top of a whole series of bad Resident Evil movies that actually went to theater. Come over here and do this and do this. There's nobody's health to increase, so
at any time.
So it benefits us to sell this now for 10,000.
Thank you.
There is a real question as far as just what do you keep and what do you not when you start the game over. New Game Plus.
What are you buying?
I guess the question is just what do we need? We need 20,000 to upgrade the Broken Butterfly, or 30,000 to do that. So let's see if we can get 20,000 here by selling the infrared scope, which you won't need and will just take up most of the space in a New Game Plus scenario anyways. It just does not help you at all. Then we would need another 10,000. Can we get 4,000, 6,000? Well, rifle ammo Handgun ammo, shotgun ammo, TMP ammo. All of it could be sold.
Is that all, stranger? Is that all? Thank you. Is that all? Thank you.
I guess we'll just play with this.
Thank you.
So we need another 2,000. Which I think we can get there by selling this.
Thank you. What are you buying?
So our damage right now is 28.
Is that all?
Upgrade that. Our
Thank
damage
you.
is 50. And that is by far the most amount of damage, and that makes sense. Although in most scenarios you wouldn't need that much. Now, can I get another 30,000 here? No, not really. So you lose a decent amount of gameplay, really, when if you were to start a new game plus and things would be not reset. Like if you have the extra large attaché case, which you earn, so it kind of makes sense that you would have that, then you don't struggle anymore with the idea of holding items or having to hold anything really. And I guess at this last boss battle it'd be kind of crazy if you couldn't get that final rocket launcher. But yeah, if you start with a ton of bullets, then the game gets fairly easy at that point. Another thing I never knew is, I think this might be a doorway that opens up later. Nope, guess not. Is that you can stab the eyeball of our boss battle here. We'll overwrite in save 20. Oops, that was the target practice save. Oh well, doesn't really matter. So if you get to take bullets with you, going in here and wasting all your bullets kind of sucks, but it's not going to be a big deal. If you don't take the bullets with you, you really should just unload all your bullets on them. Ashley tells you to stay here. Ada is here. The Wii version that I saw the people were playing did not have that initial cutscene that we saw at the beginning of this game.
Better try a new trick, because that one's getting old.
In separate ways, there'll be some pre-rendered video, and it'll be interesting to see if that pre-rendered video has been touched up by the fan mod.
What's so funny?
I guess you just threw away your stronger knife, but
American
maybe not.
Is a cliche that only happens in your Hollywood movies. Oh, Mr. Kennedy, you entertain me. To show my appreciation, I will help you awaken from your world of cliches.
And so he turns into
Ada, stand back.
a bigger evolution of Las Plagas monster coming out of the heads of people. Although arguably at this point I don't know why you would target the body at all, since it's fairly obvious that the eyeballs are the thing. Emergency locking down elevator, and it's raining. Interesting. Alright, so like near instant kill there. Alright, so mine launcher, and you just run up and press X, and it stabs him right in the eye. And see, that's just not something I even knew about. You have a little bit of stuff over here that you can run around and try and grab. And if you just get really next to these guys, you're gonna have trouble. Over here, you've got this environmental setup where I don't know what I'm trying to operate, so yeah. I thought that may have swung a big thing around him, but didn't seem like it really did. Alright, so I'm about to blow myself up. Let's go ahead and opt for full health. And then fall to my death. Alright, well, we don't need the 50 damage on it. Like, literally the mine thrower will save the day here. And we should just consider what... Like, mine thrower mines are almost completely free. We should just consider what the overall broken butterfly doing 50 damage is worth. Right. Now you can't do it really didn't give me enough time to hit that. Let's go ahead and refill our health. And I am just not really sure what this is supposed to do. Yeah. I don't think I can possibly hit him. I think that really highlights the danger potentially of being in a section like this. And yeah, I just don't get what I'm actually supposed to be doing. It is very possible that you just don't have enough damage with the mine thrower.
Use this.
Alright. So she throws the rocket launcher, the special rocket launcher, somewhere. Where is it? You gotta find it first. Where is it? So this rocket launcher special and I'm not successfully dodging any of this at all. Finally got one dodge right. All right. And we'll see if we can stab him in the eye. Since I used all of our magnum bullets. Alright, we are now out of those bullets. But one more shotgun shell was all we needed. You can see that one of the legs was like the staff. But looks very much like the staff. And there's the Las Plagas sample, which we don't really have that much of a reason that Leon needed it.
Ada,
Of course, Ada.
you do know what this is.
So Ada's working for Wesker to create more BOWs. Yeah. Which they don't even really explain what BOWs are in this game.
I'll take good care of it.
Ada!
Gotta go. If I were you, I'd get off this island too.
And then she starts a bomb.
Here, catch. Better get a move on. See you around.
So what kind of sucks is you've got the cutscene going and you could try and skip it.
Very cute.
For a bit more time. It's really plenty of time though. You just want to somewhat hustle. There we have a ton of gold. These are unlocked by default, and I don't think there's anything else worth worrying about. The only thing that kind of sucks here is that it is, I think, slightly possible to fail this escape sequence.
Leon,
We have to get off this island now. It's gonna blow any minute.
it's gonna what?
So there's just this passageway that you just wouldn't have seen. And nothing really attacks you in this, it's just like, so if you were to like try to look up, I don't even think you can look up in that case because she's just too far up. You'd basically have to do it when you first found her in the church. Nothing really attacks you, there's nothing really to pick up or anything like that. It's just that it's possible to fail this when it really shouldn't be that possible.
Hang on, sweetheart.
More subtitles not really playing. Like, you've never controlled a Sea-Doo in the game before. And so the trick here is to go right, then left, then right. And I'm not pressing any buttons to accelerate or anything like that. We have a minute to go. You can see a minecart section there that doesn't have anything to do with anything. We had a minute to spare, and all he's doing is left or right.
I know. Just hold on.
I'm not pressing any controls now, but now it's telling me to accelerate or die, and that just seems really ridiculous to be able to die after the big boss fight multiple times. This game really wants you to die, and it has a self-balancing aspect that's pretty bad in the game. Like, ideally, I would like the game not to self-balance anywhere as much. I'm accelerating this time. But instead, just if I was dying, make the last bullet in the chamber do a little bit more damage. And see, that saved me about 6 or 7 seconds doing it that time. Make a little bit more health or bullets.
Just hold on.
I think I'm gonna have to go all out. Part of the problem here could be that this is going at 60 frames per second, and it really was designed to go at 30 frames per second. Second time's the charm, but if you were going for a no-death playthrough, that would be a cheap way to lose the game.
Ashley!
And they tease the idea that she's just gonna drown. Boy, does that water look good. It'd be funny if she drowned. They just have to have her screaming for Leon one more time.
Come on.
Of course, if somebody falls off a sea-doo, you gotta stop instantaneously. Otherwise, you might chop them up with a
I still have to
blade.
get you home safe.
And I guess we never know if he really does get her home safe, although
So,
we do
after
kind
you
of
take
know
me back to
later
my
in
place,
6.
How about we do some overtime?
Sorry.
Apparently, Ashley's supposed to be 20 years old.
Somehow I knew you'd say that, but it doesn't hurt to ask, you know? So, who was that woman anyway?
Why do you ask?
Come on, tell me.
She's like a part of me I can't let go. Let's leave it at that.
How much gas do you think is in a Sea-Doo, by the way? Probably not enough to ride off into a sunset. The Resident Evil series known as Biohazard. And then you get this creepy ending that I don't even remember this. This basically shows the events of the village before the Lost Plagueuses were found. They were just poor Spanish farmers living a normal life. You're seeing pictures of children. Noticeably, there aren't any children around. In Resident Evil 5 or 6, they explained that the Lost Plagueis literally killed all the kids as soon as they were infected. It just would explode their heads. Which I could think of creepier things that could have happened to the children. Certainly. If they were in all that gross stew and food we found, or if we ran across a mass grave, that would have been even creepier. So, this ironically paints a weird picture where you've just killed a whole bunch of victims of a disease. Not that you had much of a choice to it. And while you're looking at the credits, you're not going to be while you're looking at the art, you're not going to be looking at the credits. So there you have Sadler showing up, and there you have Sadler infecting people directly. The Lost Plagueis were actually fossilized in the mine, and he brought them back to life. And there, it looks like they did kill a kid or are cooking a kid there. More and more, the people are going crazy, and kids are disappearing. Of course, it doesn't explain what happened to all of the Ganados to make them all look exactly the same. It's a little surprising to even think that there was any motion capture in this game, but I guess they were on somewhat of the cutting edge at that time. I'm not sure I've ever actually sat through the credits, because every time I've played Resident Evil 4 before, I've potentially wanted to play it more, or I have not been doing the whole YouTube thing, so there would be no reason to actually sit through the credits. And these credits that we may be looking at obviously have been added because this is the HD project donors. A lot of people working for free to make the game look a lot better because they loved it so much, more than Capcom cared about this game. Although I can't really blame Capcom for not doing a better HD remaster of Resident Evil 4 because they'd already sold it so many different times over, and I bet Capcom knew that some of the art assets had been stolen and were just hoping to not get caught. So, and eventually they did get caught, but it took a long time. Many years. Like, I'm recording this in 2022, and accusations of it being, of some of the textures being stolen did come out until maybe 2021. Here you have a ridiculous warning that the STARS members will come and get you if you violate copyright.
Hunnigan, no glasses.
Forget the glasses. What's the status of the mission?
I've rescued the subject. We're returning home.
You did it, Leon.
Thanks. You know, you're kind of cute without those glasses. Give me your number when I get back.
May I remind you that you're still on duty?
Story of my life.
So Leon doesn't get the girl, any of the girls. And so we have a new save. And let's see what we got. We probably got a terrible score. Hit 59% hit ratio, clear time of just shy of 21 hours. 969 enemies killed, which I suspect may be all the enemies in the game. 35 times killed. No score here. Maybe you only get scores in the mercenaries mode. Let's not bother uploading that to the leaderboard. So we can now buy an infinite rocket launcher and a Matilda from the merchant, which is yet another handgun that uses just too much bullets to actually be useful. And keeping all these save spots probably don't matter, so I'm just going to overwrite chapter 1. Cleared game, new round. 58 saves. Notice that there was a different save there. There's a save that unlocks the extras in the game, and then there's a save that actually saves the file. So you have new notices of new things here, where the credits show the HD remaster team in what looks like kind of a different set of credits. And let's see, the skip button gets out of that. I doubt there's anything secret that unlocks by watching that. So, Separate Ways is a story where you basically play the whole game as Ada, or a lot of the game as Ada. Assignment Ada, you play as Ada too. So both of the side sections here are about Ada. You don't get to play as Louis or anybody else. There's a movie browser here in case you wanted to watch all the cutscenes. I assume these are all remastered, and I suspect there's not a single one that we've missed, although maybe we did miss one here in chapter 3. Apparently this dog is a reference to maybe the Clock Tower series, a different Capcom horror game series. We've got all of these, and it looks like we've probably got all of these, but maybe not. Of course, if you're going to do the separate ways, that probably will give you some other cutscenes. Again, this is just a overall save file that's separate from your other save file. Okay. The problem with the New Game Plus in particular is we can now play it on professional, which there really was no reason. It would have been a little awkward to go from easy straight to professional, but you really could have done it that way. I don't think you get any extra gold or any extra anything by playing on normal over easy, and then professional is just a whole new level of difficulty. And even if I was to start the game that way, you are going to run into, let's just load this and see what this does. Select costume. We now can wear a special costume.
Got some rare things on sale, stranger. What are you selling?
So, what did we keep? Seems like you're keeping all of your weapons. And
what are you selling?
What do you sell for the rocket launcher special? It sells for 30,000, where that would sell for 15,000, or maybe a little bit more than that otherwise.
What are you buying?
As far as buying things, you now have 9mm gun with a burst fire capability, which is not really worth it. Or if the numbers are right there, you probably would have to play the whole game through to get the infinite launcher, or sell a bunch of things.
What are you buying?
And then Matilda being added. I guess I never did upgrade the mine launcher. There are 3 more achievements I haven't unlocked, and I know one of them is shooting in the ocean, and so I don't know if I could figure that out.
I'll never forget it.
Right. The problem here is you get to keep everything. Great. Seems like you get to keep your bullets, you get to keep your upgrades, you get to keep your bottle caps. And maybe you can even sell your bottle caps for some gold when that happens. But it would be quite a while. You get all the way here, and then you wake up here. And that's the first time you see the merchant again. So they have to show that out for you. That's an issue. And you're playing round 2 on normal doing this, which that doesn't quite work. To play professional here
Resident Evil
and beat the game on professional to unlock, I think, the Chicago typewriter, you have to start all over again. And your special outfit is just the Raccoon City Police Department outfit. There are some other special outfits. But now you're back to square one with the game. So the game desperately wants you to play it a second time from the beginning. And your skills will probably have improved in the last 21 hours. And I could probably play it in professional. But why do that? Honestly, the truth of the matter is you should have... I should have, and most people should just have a save file that unlocks everything to begin with. On top, so you could have played professional throughout this entire time. Professional would have only been a little bit more difficult. By the way, the background art does change, and you have this weird panoramic that is, I guess, on top of the fire pit. So you're spinning around on top of the fire pit that the police officer was burning on, looking at the city, looking at this concept art. The game then creates another situation here where doing separate ways and assignment Ada, both of these probably unlock either a new costume or a new outfit, and the same is true for mercenaries. So the game, with this extra content that was added later after the GameCube version, really wants you to get distracted and play the other content to unlock a potential Chicago typewriter, like infinite bullet gun, and then use that in professional mode to help you, if you can actually purchase it in professional mode, or maybe you just start with it. I think you have to purchase it still. Mercenaries, when I recalled, when I played it seemed, I vaguely recall it taking a little bit longer to load into its own section. This is yet another example, though, of a point where you'd probably be better off just actively having a save file unlocked. So you can only play as Leon S. Kennedy to start with. Eliminate as many Ganados as you can before you evac chopper arrives. Successive kills result in earning more points. Unlock new characters with a 4-star ranking. So, basically, just try and get as many enemies killed as possible. That gives us some bonus time. There we go. That gives us some bonus bullets. So much for our bonus time. See if we can get a bunch of people in here. Oh, shoot. We're now out of that. We've got 30 more seconds to go. $20 more seconds to go. So yeah, you run around an area, you get a kill, and you just have to be really, really good at the game. This is an interesting concept art that doesn't really make any sense. And so 19,000 got me 2 stars, which would roughly, I guess, mean I would need to do 40,000 to get a high score. And see, this is the content that I particularly don't enjoy. You have different weapons and different characters you play as. The real trick here is to look for as many treasures that can move your time longer. Yep. You see, just trying to get around here. It's just kind of a nightmare. This part is actually walled off, so can't go that way. And I don't feel like it's really a situation where you want to stagger your kills that much. I'm taking extra ammo. I don't think it's really that valuable. Different areas are going to give you different possibilities of success with different enemies. So I heavily suspect this guy is not as well. These guys are probably too tough for the area that they're in. And we can see that there's a considerable change in the level design here. And you're not just going to get a spinel or something that increases your damage. "90 seconds extended. Bonus time for 30 seconds. Combine that with that, use that. That didn't work at all. And the trick here is definitely just going to be, can you get enough people killed in the next minute and 10 seconds to increase your bonus time without also dying. Like, really, this should be a point where I just straight up jump and, like, I'm trying to jump off and it won't let me. So yeah, you might want to hide in a section like that. 16,000 points, does that count? Does that count to a score because you died? I don't think it does. And so you are inevitably locked into this collection of 4 levels playing as our character, Leon here, first. There's probably a certain level of planning and strategy one could have here. But yeah, I don't know how much planning and strategy really can have around this. Alright, that's 8. So I guess the idea here would be to just go mad with killing more. 9. Yeah, and you're just not gonna survive that. There goes our bonus time. Yeah. See, I just got nothing here. And I don't think you're gonna have a bouncing factor on this. I just can't imagine that the game really would give you that form of assistance. Clearly, this was supposed to be a multiplayer concept, but I don't know how they would have even a PlayStation 2 version of the game turn this into a let's see if we don't quit. Yeah, I don't know how you turn that into a multiplayer experience on a PlayStation 2. And so instead, I guess they just opted for they opted for an attempt here to make it a more leaderboard type experience. All your little upgrades, though, that you would have done in your main gameplay just don't help you here. So best case scenario here, I could hope, is to just not get any time extensions and hope that works out well enough for me. And take note that the game put me in a completely different place here. And I think it probably is punishing me somewhat for being so high up, even though that's where it put me. yeah, I just really don't see anything in this content. It's great that there's 21 hours of gameplay otherwise, because if this content was something that you really had to lean on, it would be a real low pitch of quality of the game. But you can safely ignore the mercenaries. In a funny way, you can kind of safely ignore half of the entire Resident Evil series for similar ways. I also think it would be somewhat fair if I think it would be somewhat more fair if you just had to finish each level to unlock a character to start with. I don't see a reason to be so cruel and demand 4 stars, which you just won't get unless you learn to memorize the levels. And by the time you've memorized the levels, then you've created a situation where why would you want to play the levels again? The next character and his different abilities becomes the only reason why you would engage more with the mercenaries mode. You can see this is really just a combination of buildings. And I guess the general idea here was that the general idea may have been that they were going to try to make more missions like this, or more levels like this. You definitely see a section like this in Resident Evil 5. Basically, everything you see in Resident Evil 5 was thought up during the development process of Resident Evil 4. Seems like anything over 10,000 points gets you 2 stars, which probably means, yes, anything over 20,000 gets you 3, anything over 30,000 gets you 4. So it doesn't seem like it's that difficult, really, if I got really good at it. That level in particular, though, is just not really finished. And it's probably not too crazy to say I think that this is Ada Wong, that this is another military guy from Resident Evil 2 that I wouldn't even recognize. This may be Hunk, and this may be Krauser, or this may be Hunk, and this may be Krauser. No Tofu character, and they each have different bullets, different guns, which maybe would lead to things being a little bit easier, requiring a little bit less headshots, but not really. So yeah, I seriously doubt I would engage with the mercenaries at all, unless, I don't know, there's no reason to go back into this if it's not glowing and saying there's something new. Interestingly, of all these extras that are in the main menu, there isn't a bottle cap viewer. So if you lost the save file that had all the bottle caps in it, then you would be screwed at that point. So yeah, you could potentially not go any further and not play Separate Ways and not play Assignment Ada, but I do want to see if this is remastered, and I do want to play these sections one more time before the Resident Evil 4 remake, and that's what we'll do in the next recording. I cannot, though, justify playing the game on professional from the beginning. Again, what I would say to that is that if the Resident Evil 4 remake came out and it was just absolute awful, and I got around to playing like Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1 remake, which aren't really the same level of quality as Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3's remake, but if I got to playing all 4 of those games and then came back around again and was at Resident Evil 4, then maybe at that point I'd be willing to play the professional from the beginning. But that is just a bunch of ifs. If I get around to playing 4 other games, if the remake isn't good, if the remake still isn't good after getting around to playing 4 other games, that the odds are not particularly high that would ever be the scenario. On top of which, that also makes an assumption that I just never get around to playing Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil Village, and that there is no other Resident Evil 9 game that comes out in the middle of all of that too, which I suspect the Resident Evil 9 may very well come out fairly quickly. And I have only myself to blame to not getting around to playing Resident Evil 7. Also, even if I was to go all the way around in a loop and try and play Resident Evil 0 and 1 and then 2 and then 3 and maybe some other side games even, all those games control so incredibly differently that I would have to relearn the controls every single game, and that would be quite an adjustment. Plus, that would be a lot of Resident Evil footage on my channel. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. We'll start Separate Ways. I hope Separate Ways chronologically is the right one. It's at the top of the extras. It probably doesn't matter that much. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.